Yes, the tale of two paintings. There's two things that I want to do today. I wanted to have a painting ready for the vet office. Like I've mentioned before, I do like to hang art in a animal hospital. But I also have this other potential deadline where there's a juried art show, and I don't have anything for that. So we'll see if I can actually get a painting done in a week. So the first one, the animal hospital prefers it to be very animal focused. And what I really wanted to do was like a baby deer, because they got those beautiful spots and their bright brown tan colors. And the problem with making art that has a specific look to it, hi Maggie, that doesn't come from like an internal need, it's really hard to find motivation in making it. I tend to dive into the Shadowscapes tarot. The card that I picked was Judgment, and that is supposed to be about confessing your sins and starting with like a clean slate. And this one uses some butterflies in it. There are a lot of things that I've abandoned in my art practice, and one of them was butterflies. And then, of course, this card caught my eye for color scheme, so I'm going to try to use a similar color scheme to this. So those two cards are my visual sort of inspiration and story inspiration. This is my little messy thumbnail sketch that I did for the deer. Butterflies in such intertwined with deer antlers is such a cliche. But if I like heeded every single insecure thought that, oh, I shouldn't make this because someone else has done it better, or everyone has done it before, this is cliche. If I actually heeded that concern, I would never draw anything. And putting antlers on a baby deer is obviously wrong. I think people who work in an exotic animal hospital are going to notice that. So I am going to have to like be really methodical about my titling of the piece, because I'm not going to be there to kind of explain what it means, and having a descriptive, meaningful title is really helpful. What's fortunate is that this desire to paint a beautiful baby deer, but also the wonderful shapes of antlers, is that combining them together actually kind of makes sense in this scenario, because if the theme is going to be wiping your slate clean and starting anew, that actually kind of fits, because yes, you're baby now, but you also carry with you your experiences in your past. I have a busy weekend where I am going to a craft fair. I don't imagine it's going to be very busy. So I'm going to put it on a board and take it with me, and that'll give me something to do, but also is a bit of a spectacle. You know, people love to see people working. It demonstrates that I'm making the art that I'm selling on my prints or stickers or whatever. On Sunday, I get to babysit an art gallery, including like unlocking, unsetting like the alarms and stuff, and greeting people and talking to them. I made it. I almost didn't get in the door, but I made it. These were done at a plein air event. Members of the community in general were given a free canvas to paint on, and about like 3 or 4 hours to paint in plein air on the spot in front of everybody. And it's always so fun, and I didn't get to go this year, but look at all of the lovely things. Watercolor even. Looks so small in real life. My house is so small, it looks so much bigger at home. I had this vision, and so I cut the mat myself, and I'm not very good at cutting mats because I don't have a cutting mat tool. That's the best I can do with an X-Acto knife, but I think it looks all right. These ones were submitted to fit the walls. It's a member show on this side. I'm here alone all day. A little nervous about it. The second painting that I wanted to do was from like the haunted houses ideas that I had while I was camping. It was really just an excuse to paint this hotel that I stayed at. It was really fun. It had a really kind of haunted feel to it, honestly. The contrast to this painting is that it was something that was a visual image before it had a theme. Because sometimes you can just draw things and then analyze it later and then decide your titles and your artist statements. Because maybe you don't know why you paint something or draw something. And it just takes a little bit of thought. But just kind of get it out first. I like the idea of challenging myself with a straight-edged architecture detail, which is something I used to be very bad at, but I've gotten better, I think. Although it does look a little flat in this iteration. It could be kind of like tricky to do something that requires a lot of straight edges and angles and equidistant lines and everything being matchy the same. So I just kind of did my best, and I like the idea of having this little like my little cat character Moss like in the highermost room, which I was dying to know what was up there, because I don't think that there was a room up there to actually go look at and see. But you know, it looks very sinister, so I wanted to have him in there. And then I would have all of these like little ghosts coming out of the windows to make something more fun. I have my head down all evening trying to get 2 paintings done in the very short amount of time, and so I'm giving myself kind of cabin fever. And so as I'm doing this, it's sort of developing a little bit of the story of the character. It looks very lonely. He's the only one there. A lot of the windows are broken open and dark, and there's ghosts kind of coming out of them. And it's sort of like he's looking out and seeing opportunity, like maybe there's people out there that he could talk to, but he just can't reach them because they're on a different plane of existence. But there's definitely something there. And sometimes the image just has to be made first, and then you kind of go in and analyze, and then it just kind of comes to you. It was supposed to be a night scene, so I ended up painting it sort of like the image I was working with, but then adding a glaze over it to make it night, and that did sort of muddy up my colors a little bit, I think. But a lot of that is just like a personal thing. I've never painted a night scene and liked it. I've always struggled with dark colors because it gets kind of like dull looking. If you know how to paint watercolor night scenes or otherwise really deep colors without it looking kind of like overworked and flat or ugly, please let me know. Because while I did manage to make the glowing areas look like they're glowing, I feel like the colors are very boring to me. I tried to bring some of that back by adding this beautiful sort of rose color, and so I felt like somewhat confident in risking it by adding another layer of paint and just making it even muddier. But I think it did kind of help because it made it a little bit more cool toned, the red, and trying to go a little bit more blue in the background. I could have been like more of a magenta blue color scheme. I think that would have been a better approach and way more fun. So here are my 2 paintings, sort of like a light and dark version of each other. And if you have your own story for these images, let me know. Tell me your story. Thanks for watching.